My grandfather was called Didolanic when we were growing up. That is a more archaic, older Ukrainian term. The term lanec really means chain or connector. And I think of that, and that analogy of a connection plays very well with his approach to leadership of the Ukrainian nationalists and really the advocacy that he was responsible for in the Ukrainian diaspora. I'm Ýuri Wowchuk. I'm the director of the Vovk Foundation, and I'm the grandson of Іван Вовчук. Іван Вовчук was born in 1902 in a village in the eastern part of Ukraine named Rятували. He attended the University of Kharkiv, graduating with a degree in agronomy. Soon after, he was a researcher and then accepted a position as the head of a primary school in the town of Nikopol. While in Nikopol, he joined the Organization of Ukrainian Nationalists and quickly rose to the ranks from a regional position to one that had a significant global implication. Ukrainian nationalism can best be characterized by the following, in my opinion. It is very inclusive of beliefs and nationalities, not just Ukrainian. Secondly, is it incorporates cultural and historical and artistic precepts and elements of the Ukrainian identity. Thirdly, it is a humanistic ideal where people are encouraged to participate, to thrive, to succeed regardless of race or sex or identity. And these are really important pillars to understand the true nature of Ukrainian nationalism and why it's so important to the Ukrainian identity in general. My grandfather saved a Jewish family, the Bakst family. My grandfather used this position as the head of a school, as well as the head agronomist for that particular region, to not only save this family, but also ensure that they were able to move around the country at a time of great risk, at a time of, complete Nazi permeation of that region. From the work that my grandfather did to produce paperwork that allowed Sara Bakst to move to a less oppressive village, to hiding her children, then to ultimately ensuring that her and her family were safe. It's an example of courage and bravery during unfathomable times created by the German Nazis. While it's an incredible story, it's only one of thousands of examples of Ukrainian nationalists saving Jews, which completely refutes the false and baseless propaganda that Putin puts forth about Ukrainians being Nazis. The position that Putin has taken, i.e. calling Ukrainians Nazis, is really an evolution of the propaganda that was put forth regarding Lenin and Stalin and trying to position them, oddly enough, as humanitarian. It's important to point out that Ukrainian nationalists work hand in hand with individuals of other beliefs and of other nations. The anti-Bolshevik bloc of nations, for example, was formed in 1943. That led to the creation of the Organization for the Defense of Four Freedoms of Ukraine. It also led to the passage of a very important captive nations piece of legislation under the Eisenhower administration. That created an impetus for many decades, up to and including the Reagan administration, where President Reagan himself said, "Your struggle is our struggle." We are very honored to be working with Boris Loshkin, who is the president of the Jewish Confederation of Ukraine and the vice president of the World Jewish Congress. Boris is an incredible Ukrainian advocate and patriot and has been instrumental in helping to repair and optimize this critical relationship between the Jewish population and the Ukrainian population in the country. And that was a virtue that was very important to my grandfather and is a cornerstone of the Ukrainian nationalist ideal. My grandfather's legacy could be captured in three challenges. The first being the bitter struggles and debates that are taking place at a country level for continued aid and support. The second being the growing fatigue on the part of the media in continuing to report accurately the developments related to the war and also the social developments that are taking place in the country. And then thirdly is kind of the social fatigue that's taking place amongst populations in general as this decade-long war continues. The audience for this book is not only historians and scholars, it's really intended for elected officials, policymakers, consultants, corporate executives who need to understand the history and the context of Ukraine and the Ukrainian experience to position their businesses for success. This book is much more than a book about my grandfather. It's even much more. This book is about the need and the importance of advocacy, of understanding, of staying on top and ahead of the waves of propaganda that's being put forth by Russia. I have to give a lot of credit to the author Oleg Prosenko for weaving together an incredible narrative. This book is a biography, it's a history, it's a historiography, and it's a story about a very important person and a very important player in 20th century Ukrainian identity. Needless to say, my grandfather had, kind of an enormous intellect, but he had a civic capability that I think was very important and is highlighted in this book. He wrote numerous articles, he edited very key journals and newspapers, he was a prolific speaker, all of which helped really to work towards the unification of the Ukrainian diaspora in a very critical time, which is why this book is so important for right now. To learn more about my grandfather, his story, and our foundation, please visit our website, voguefoundation.org.